So want to hear the beneficiaries first. I can't help myself just because I'm curious, who those might actually be.
Well, Kelly, just to be clear, this is a net negative for the U.S. consumer. This is not a good thing that these payments are going to resume. But as we think about companies that are best positioned here, Walmart really stands out. They're clearly taking share in grocery with that double-digit growth, far outpacing the industry, taking share on e-commerce, up 27% last quarter. And they've got some really compelling growth drivers in their marketplace initiative, advertising on the international front. And as you look at a little bit longer term, we think they're going to be a leader in automation. That's really going to help them. So a lot of reasons to like Walmart here, despite this net negative here for the consumer on the horizon.
Now, that's a little less exciting now that you say it that way, because we always, to think of Walmart as a beneficiary of kind of a pressure on the consumer does make a lot of sense. Melissa, let me turn to you. Who are some of the names people think could be most vulnerable?
The vulnerable names are really the ones selling discretionary merchandise. And we're already hearing that a lot of those companies are under pressure. So companies, American Eagles come up, for example. If you think about kind of the retailers that cater to younger consumers who are going to be making these payments again early in career, Figs is another name came up. They sell scrubs. Right. People might be, splurging on a higher end scrubs. The other companies that have come up are even TJ Maxx that they sell clothes, and clothes are definitely something people can put off or just not buy at all.
Bradley, what are some of your most vulnerable names?
On the vulnerable side, we're continuing to worry about Target. Our credit card data has continued to show some weakness over the last 3 weeks, down double digits in our proprietary data.
Wow.
We think that mid-market approach that they've got, really catering to a broad swath of Americans, puts them more at risk for their customers deciding to shop over at Walmart. We also think this could continue to put pressure on Best Buy and Big Lots, some other names where the customer is already avoiding those retailers to some extent right now.
And that's, Bradley, what I think is so interesting is that, and to Melissa's point about American Eagle, well, we know Abercrombie's doing a little better right now. So it's almost like if you scanned the names, like Target has some issues, obviously, after Pride Month. Like, if you scan the retailers that are a little more vulnerable anyway, does this just give them another headwind versus some of those that seem to be executing very well right now and can kind of weather this?
That's exactly right. In some cases, we feel like we're getting through that pig in the python, if you will, of the pandemic unwind headwind finally getting behind us. But as we layer in this $400 a month payment that we think many Americans are going to be facing come September of this year, it just looks like a continuation of some of that pressure on discretionary spending that's going to unfold as we head into this all-important holiday season.
Yeah, and I know you do have Ollie's and Five Below. In some ways those are discretionary, but obviously a much lower price point. You can have, Melissa, that kind of spontaneous fun, but not at such a high level. Do you think most retailers are somehow preparing for this? I mean, what could they do?
It's hard to know because this decision came, really, it's a 1-2 punch, right? We're waiting for Supreme Court, but we heard about the moratorium ending after the retail earnings cycle did. So analysts didn't get that opportunity to ask retailers about it. We heard from Darden, a restaurant company, that they are expecting a little bit of an effect, but they said that a lot of their restaurant customers are actually making $100K or higher, and so might be more insulated, more willing to keep going to Olive Garden and companies like that. But we really haven't gotten an insight into retailers. And, like we've talked about, they're under pressure. But to Walmart and Brad's point about that, I actually spoke to some borrowers who were saying what they were planning to do if once the payments start again and if their forgiveness does not happen. And one of them specifically told me, I'm going to start shopping for more of my produce and meat at Walmart again. And I've been shopping more at places like farmers markets that have a higher price tag.
Interesting. And also, just to kind of disentangle this for a moment, we've been really emphasizing the $400 a month. It's kind of coming either way. The question, Brad, tomorrow morning is whether the Supreme Court, is it $20,000 or $10,000 that Biden's proposing to forgive? This would be a lower income consumer. So who would be more sensitive to that ruling?
It's a great question, Kelly. I think it'd be the lower income, that would be more sensitive if this forgiveness goes through. But make no mistake, even if the Supreme Court allows the forgiveness to go through, there will still be student debt out there, and it still will be a net negative on the consumer.